describing break-even. So in the graph we can see the x and y axis. The x-axis here is used to show the quantity of product being sold. The y-axis is used to show the company's revenue and costs. The total revenue is the total income generated off a company's sales. The total revenue does not consider expenses that the company endures. The green line on the graph here shows the total revenue line. The total revenue has a direct relationship with the quantity of product sold, which means it passes through the origin, this point 0, 0. The total fixed cost, which is represented by the blue line, is comprised of all the business's fixed costs, which means it does not fluctuate based on the quantity of output. Some examples of fixed costs would be salaries, rent, or machinery. The total variable cost, which is represented by the purple line, is dependent upon the quantity of output, which means that it fluctuates based on the quantity of output that the business has. Examples of variable costs would be the raw materials which are being used to produce products, or hourly wages. This generates the total cost, which is represented by the red line. The total cost is the fixed cost plus the variable cost. The total cost crosses the y-axis at the line of the total fixed costs and is parallel to the total variable costs. The break-even point, which is represented here, is the point where the total cost line and the total revenue line intersect. The break-even revenue is the total revenue that needs to be generated, represented here, in order for it to meet the break-even point. Likewise, the break-even quantity, represented here, is the total output that must be generated in order to meet the break-even point. The level of demand, which is shown by this, is the total demand that has been put on a product or that the company is expecting to produce. The margin of safety is the difference between the level of demand and the break-even point. When the margin of safety is positive, it is expected that the organization will generate a product, since the total revenue is greater than the total costs. However, if the margin of safety is negative, it is expected that the organization will encounter a loss, since the total revenue is less than the total costs. If there's an increase in price, the results will be a steeper total revenue line, and the break-even point will decrease, since less output will be needed to be sold in order to account for the total cost. However, if the price decreases, the revenue line will become shallower and the break-even point will increase. If there's a change in the fixed cost, this will impact the break-even point. For example, if the fixed cost is increased, the break-even point will also increase in the quantity sold and the revenue needed to be generated. By changing the average variable cost, it will also change the slope of the total fixed costs, as shown here. And if the variable cost increases, this will result in an increased quantity in order to reach the break-even point. However, if the variable cost decreases, it will result in less quantity being sold in order to reach the break-even point. So in the example I'm using, I'm looking at a popcorn stand, which has the total fixed cost of $30, the total variable cost of $2 per cup, and the price for each product as $4 per cup. So as we can see, using this algebraic calculation, we can see that the total cost is equal to the total fixed cost plus the total variable cost, which in this case is the total cost is equal to 30, which is the total fixed costs, plus 2x, which is the variable costs. We can also see that the total revenue is equal to 4, which is the price, times x being the number of cups of popcorn sold. We can also see that the total revenue is equal to the total costs, which means that 4x is equal to 30 plus 2x, which then gives us 2x equals 30, and finally gives us our break-even quantity of 15, which is also shown in this graph, showing that 15 cups are required to be sold in order to reach the break-even point.